Starting stream.
And
We are connecting and we are going live and we should be live. Yes, it looks like we should be live now. All right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to WordCast number 42. We have a lot of interesting news to talk about today, and you also may see this thing here. I'm going to be doing a live unboxing of my Asus Strix Radeon RX 580, my new GPU for the Threadripper build. Just a temporary GPU, but enough to get me by for a while. So that's pretty exciting, and overall, a pretty busy week. But first, I wanted to actually start with a little bit of explanation as to what's been going on with the stream and where it's been. So as many of you know, our last stream that we did, the ones that follow us consistently, the last stream we did, we had some technical difficulties. We were having issues with the stream quality, and so what we did is just an audio stream. Yeah. Right? So that was kind of weird. We were like, whatever, it's probably some kind of issue. It'll be fixed next time. And we didn't do it the week after because it was Thanksgiving week. We didn't have time to prepare stuff and whatnot. We already told you guys that that was going to happen. Now, last week, we were supposed to be back up and live and even posted to be live, right? Well, we couldn't get things to work, and we didn't know why we were dropping so many frames. So
it was the last 2 weeks.
It was the last 2 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago is what I meant to say. So we contacted Restream. We're like, what's going on? Because we're having issues streaming, and it was working fine on like Twitch directly and stuff. We ended up doing tests for like an hour before we contacted them. Kudos to them for their amazing customer service, by the way. They responded right away, and they helped us with their issue. Turns out that for some reason, OBS, when it got updated, switched back to their London servers rather than their Seattle servers that we were trying to stream to. So we were getting tons of dropped frames. Really weird, really frustrating. I don't know how it happened. I didn't expect that to be the cause. We looked through everything else, and everything else was set up just fine. So it was a little bit weird. Now, last week, everything was good to go. We got all set up. We were sitting here just like this. We had a lot of topics prepared. We were ready to be back. And then the most beautiful thing ever happened. Comcast was having internet issues with uploads in specific, so my upload speeds were fluctuating from anywhere from about 100 kilobits to about 10 megabits per second, back and forth. So there was no way we could stream even an audio stream.
97 to 98% dropped frames.
Yeah, it was so bad. Yeah. It was, oh man, it was atrocious. All right, so anyway, the other thing I want to say is on the website now, which is linked in the description, there is actually a page you can go to, wordtechreviews.com/subscribe, and you can enter your email address to enter a mailing list so that I can send you guys out emails like about 2 hours before we start the stream when WordCast goes live. It will only be used for sending out WordCast invites, reminders really, not promotional stuff or like articles or anything like that. So just something to keep in mind if you guys are interested in following us there. All right, so shall we jump straight into the unboxing, or do you want to talk about news first? How are you feeling?
It's up to you.
I mean,
either way.
Either way, I guess is fine. I'm gonna jump in the unboxing because I've been waiting to open this puppy. Or should I wait till there's a few more people, more than normal people on?
We could wait until we're about to talk about that dumb 560 thing.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Which I have a little bit more info on that now, by the way.
It's still dumb.
All right. It is still dumb. All right. So let's talk about the Snapdragon 845 then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know more about this than me.
Yeah.
But it's pretty impressive looking. So I'm excited.
Snapdragon held an event recently. I think it was a multiple-day event. They announced a few things, which we'll talk about. The biggest thing is really the Snapdragon 845. So we're getting... they're claiming 30% increased efficiency and 30% faster graphics. So that's going to be a big boost for phones and other. Of course, the
limit is on phones, especially Android, is still storage, which is unfortunate that we need to move over to NVMe. Was there any word about whether it supports NVMe or not?
No,
I would hope it does. In fact, our next section we're going to talk about, I'll bring that back up because I have a feeling that they're going to. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So they've made some changes. So previously it was a shared L2 cache. Now each core has a private L2 cache, and then there's 2 megabytes of L3.
Okay.
And then big news, or like one of the biggest things for me, is the new image processor. So we're looking at now all of these stats, I want to clarify before I read them off, are in HDR recording, not standard recording.
They're not even going to support standard anymore, though, correct?
They'll support it. It's just not like what they're listing stuff as. They're not gonna,
Okay. They're not going to like.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
'Cause what if
in a sense, they're not supporting it. It
Yeah.
just functions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking at 4K 60 FPS video capture, and 720p 480 FPS video capture.
Pretty good.
Now, what's going to be really important,
Now, of course, that's low bit rate for the frames that they're pushing.
well,
so
it
it's not going to
depends,
look
because
that
if
great.
they can do 4K 60, it depends on we don't know what the bit rate's going to be.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, I mean, unless we have like NVMe storage, at that point, those kind of frames, the bit rate's going to not have to be that great, and the light, it's not going to work that great in low light and stuff like that. Those are things we can assume, but I mean, those are things that were true with the 835. That's true. HDR helps more in daylight than it does in low light.
I know,
but yeah,
it depends on which. Well, I guess it depends on which HDR they're doing, because there's the
that's true.
TV style HDR, which involves more colors and things like that.
Right.
Then there's the regular video and photo HDR, which is actual dynamic range.
Right.
Which can help in like mixed light scenarios.
Right.
So. And then there's the stupid stuff with Bluetooth 5. So it does support it. However, there are proprietary enhancements for ultra low powered earbuds. In other words, now when you go buy a phone, if you want to buy Bluetooth earbuds, you get to look for which ones are going to work best with your phone.
That bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like it's pushing for a proprietary nature, and I don't like that.
And that's kind of where it seems like Bluetooth audio accessories are going anyway. Unfortunately, I mean, you look at like Apple's got the easy pairing that only works on their stuff.
Yep.
Which they could easily allow other devices to implement. Google's got the Pixel Buds, and those have exclusive features. Now, when it comes to the Pixel Buds, to be fair to them, unlike all of this other stuff, the Pixel Buds have to have custom software in order to work. Now, they could force it into future versions of Android if they wanted to.
Right.
However, Google's always been kind of wary about forcing things into Android, so
they're generally
it's a mixed bag as to what.
Well, that's kind of because they don't want to hurt the people that are hardcore that want it to be open and not have to be forced in any direction. So.
But it means that things like the translate functionality can't work.
Right. Exactly.
It's just the way that you would handle that translation because the problem is that Android natively doesn't support outputting to headphones and speakers with the same application at the same time.
Right.
And there's a lot of problems with that. And so they have to do custom audio routing for translation alone.
Right.
And it just causes all sorts of problems. So there's that. And then the other big thing for this, there's a dedicated secure processing unit. Essentially, if you want to do fingerprint, face unlock, whatever, key authentication, anything like that, it allows this to happen without running any code on the primary processor. Essentially, the processor just sends a request to the chip. The chip handles all processing of the biometrics and then sends yes or no back.
So,
as long as
how much do we want to bet that it's going to be cracked? Like,
if anything, I'm thinking there's going to be a way, somebody will figure out a way to falsify the yes or no. We don't know how it's wired. We don't know how it works.
Right.
We haven't looked at the processor in person, opened it up, but ultimately that's where I see the vulnerability.
I wouldn't disagree, but also I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else too. Like stuff like this where it's always like something's supposed to be dedicated and secure. There's always problems with it.
It's mainly because that's where people then focus. It gives a target to focus on.
Yeah.
If you're just like, let me look for a vulnerability in all of everything pertaining to the processor versus let me look for the vulnerability in the thing where all of the vulnerabilities would need to be focused anyway.
Yeah, and that while that's true, I think their goal when it comes to security is rather than focus on, fixing every possible hole, which you still want to do, of course, make it like focus as hard as you can to make it so that any potential holes are really hard to do, and you have to go out of your way so far to do it that there's not a point in doing it for any kind of general consumer. It's got to be like you're really targeted on this person for whatever reason, right? Yeah,
I mean, I imagine that it's like with the Face ID, face scanning and printing thing. Like nobody's gonna do that.
Right.
Like I'm not just gonna be like, yo, I'm gonna plan to steal your phone, so let me scan your face.
Yeah. No, I get you.
So
yeah, and I mean,
we'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
Unfortunately, the Snapdragon 845, with its better battery life and increased performance, is not going to be on the other very interesting Qualcomm Qualcomm product.
ARM on Windows.
Yeah. Windows 10 laptops are going to be supporting ARM, not just Windows 10s, but full Windows.
Correct. Now, through emulation, though, and that's the important part to keep in mind. Anything that is not natively an ARM app is emulated.
Yes.
Any x86 apps, and it can't do 64-bit apps.
Yes.
Either.
Now, something I want to mention with that, though, Microsoft did rewrite a whole bunch of DLLs to translate more directly to ARM. So if you're just using the DLLs that are on Windows for certain applications, in your development of an app, it'll work better on ARM.
Correct.
So they're doing a lot of things to... Obviously, emulation is a requirement in order to use all apps because not everyone uses all those DLLs. Not everyone uses...
Yeah.
It was going to take the time to update. But they're doing a lot of work to make it the best experience possible. And we've already seen where things designed for x86 can run very, very well on ARM. The biggest example of that is when you look at games designed for the Xbox One or the PS4, which are x86, running on the Switch. Those actually run a lot better than I think anyone expected.
They do. They're impressive.
And
they're impressive.
Easy to port to, which I think is the even more important thing.
Yes, yes. So. The one thing I will say, so I heard some news about somebody that played with ARM on Windows 10 on ARM, right? They played with some of the machines that were shown off at the convention in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they were not impressed with any of the emulation. Everything else was great, but any of the emulation, there was actual like slowdowns when it came to like typing and stuff. Now, I mean, they might have been unlucky, and a lot of programs like Word and stuff obviously are going to be rebuilt to function really good with that. But
yeah, because
isn't
Word
frustrated.
now a Windows
store?
Yeah.
App? Yes.
So then it would already be ARM supported.
Yeah.
Not emulation.
Yeah, maybe it might not. But I
have
don't
a
know what they were typing on. They were really frustrated, though.
I have a feeling that in that case specifically, it might have been more so a problem with these just not being final release products.
And that's possible too. That is totally possible too.
But so there's two laptops announced with this. There is an HP and an Asus laptop. Both have 8 gigs of RAM up to 256 gigs of storage. The Asus model uses UFS 2. All of the Qualcomm, or I guess ARM-based, but Qualcomm specifically based Windows 10 laptops are also going to support their gigabit LTE.
Now that's exciting.
This is part of a bigger push by Microsoft in specific to get a full suite of connected laptops. So the idea being you just buy a laptop, pop a SIM in, or use an eSIM and activate it with your carrier. And then you just have the internet on there. As much as, yes, you can always just use your hotspot, this is just going to be easier if it just works.
Yeah.
Hey, I need to type out something like an email real fast, I can just pop on my laptop, type it, hit send, or let me get on my phone, turn on my hotspot, which might only take a few seconds, but at that point, why not just type it out on your phone if you're going for a quick email?
It's a pain in the butt. No, I really like the idea of an always connected laptop. I think that's the direction it needs to go, because people that are looking for more performance-oriented stuff are turning more and more to desktops now, custom-built machines. When you are doing like work that can be done in a laptop, you prefer to be able to do it anywhere. You don't want to have to manage Wi-Fi networks. I really do like the idea. I still am a little bit concerned myself about the potential performance of these machines. I don't know exactly how I feel about what they're gonna.
It's not like this is gonna be designed for gaming. It's not like this is designed for
not at all. But my thing is, even an 835 feels sluggish to me at times on a phone.
Yeah, but
now, Android's different than Windows, and these are going to be clocked higher. They're going to be pushing slightly higher clock speeds than you would on an Android phone. Probably more consistently higher clock speeds because you've got better cooling. It's still passive cooling. And you're also going to have maybe a little bit less battery management being necessary, meaning they can suck more power when they want to because you don't have to worry about it. But there are times where just typing a message, switching to a new app is really slow on something that's running an 835. And when that happens, like, that makes me wonder, if my PC is going to do that, like, I'm not okay with that. Everything is to be basically instantaneous.
However, there are some of the higher-end ARM-based Chromebooks that run really well. Far better than an Android phone with a similar processor can run Chrome.
And that's true.
And so it depends on how well Microsoft tweaks things for the OS itself to run. I think that's going to be the key factor in how well this works.
Maybe so. You might be right there.
So, personally, I would actually be more impressed with an Apple laptop running on their custom silicon, because in my opinion, Apple's mobile-based processors are far closer to the desktop class, or like just essentially regular computer class hardware, than we see from Qualcomm right now.
Yeah.
I think like if you look at like something that's in the iPad running just OS X, I think that could do really well.
Yeah, I think that.
And I think, especially for the just straight MacBook, the one that's currently running like the terrible worst tier Intel processor that only has one USB support,
the Core M.
I think that would be a fantastic candidate for so many reasons.
Yeah.
For the Apple-based custom silicon in the MacBook.
Yep.
So
I think it's a good direction, and it's something that I wouldn't be surprised if Apple copied.
And it would be easier for Apple to optimize for their hardware and their software, because that's the whole reason iOS is so good at optimization.
Right, exactly, yeah. Yep.
So,
although it would be hard to optimize Mac simultaneously with iOS with it. What I mean is that they would have to redo a lot of stuff for Mac OS itself, and it would have to support both. But yeah. Okay.
I'll let you talk about this one.
Yeah, so this one was interesting to me. So, a lot of people probably already know about this, but AMD secretly altered the specs of the RX 560. Now, there's more details here, and you should still be mad, but there's some reasons to be a little bit less mad than we maybe thought we should be. So the first thing I'll say is, so AMD, over in other parts of the world, released a graphics card called the 560D. Okay, it was basically a rebranded 460. It was a rebranded 460.
It's worse, because it's got slower memory.
That's true. But it's a rebranded 460 in terms of the GPU itself.
Yeah, it's just less performance.
Yeah. So anyway, it was called the 560D. It has the 896 core count, which is what the 460 had. And it also, that's pretty far off from the, I think it's 1024 that we're looking at with the regular 560, right? Regular RX 560. So AMD was called out by everybody for this. Reddit blew up. A lot of streamers and stuff were talking about it. A lot of the big tech tubers were talking about it. Now, the thing I will say here, so... The excuse here is AMD was trying to blame the add-in board partners and the retailers, right, and not themselves. And people are arguing that can't be done because AMD's own website didn't have two specs listed for the 560, right? They had one spec. Now, part of the confusion here from something that I learned recently was, since the 560D, as we would call it now, is a rebranded 460 with slightly different RAM variations. From my understanding, I don't know what AMD's plan was in terms of the actual branding behind it.
I don't think they had one, and I think that's part of the problem. Well,
yeah, so the concern was they didn't update the 560 site with it because it was a 460.
Yeah.
And I think the idea originally at AMD, whoever originated the idea, was we should start selling 460s again because we have a lot of them. And somebody along the line rebranded it, whether it was AMD or whether it was an add-in board partner. Somebody rebranded it. Whoever did it, everybody needed to go with it. Somebody set the stage. It's still something to be frustrated about because they need to have more control over their product stack than that.
It would have been AMD, though, initially calling it a 560. Ultimately... Like, if AMD was like, here's a 460, and an add-in board partner sold it as a 560, AMD would have been all over them, because that's straight up.
I would assume, yeah. So, again, we don't know, we can't know for sure what happened. I think that people need to be mad at everybody, not just AMD.
Where AMD blamed the add-in board partners wasn't about that. What happened was, they released it as a 560, from all that everyone can tell. They released the lower spec one as a 560, and didn't put any specific requirement on the add-in board partners for how to advertise it. So a lot of them said, hey, we've got this card. It's also a 560. It's a lower core count.
Yeah.
So they just put the core count and the specs of the card on the Newegg page and on their site, but sold it as a 560 because AMD branded it as a 560.
Right, and maybe that's where the mistake was made. But I think there's still the potential too that, I mean, it could be to the point that it could come down to a typo in an email. It could come down to somebody forgetting to add a D. Well, they simultaneously send it out to all of them through a mailing list. So I can almost guarantee that.
When you're talking about a whole brand, essentially another card that they have to manufacture.
Well, but it's not another card they have to manufacture. Well, the add-in board partners aren't. They're not having to do much when it comes to like new PCBs. Yeah, but
no, like OEM or no one like AMD would just like, here's a mass email. You guys, we're sending you old 460s to make into.
Well, a lot of the add-in board partners probably already had them.
But you still have a conversation with AMD before you make a product for them.
And that's true. And that's
no
true.
matter what. 100% of the time, I guarantee it. There's no mass email about that. This was
right.
AMD opted to sell it as a 560. They just didn't put any requirement on the add-in board partners, probably expecting them to take more initiative.
And that could be.
That's where I think the problem lies. It was ultimately, I mean, I don't know what they expected them to do. Would they put lower core count 560 in the title? Because
again, it needs to have
even
something.
Even if they put 896, other than the people that pay attention to this stuff, they're not going to know that that's a lower core count.
Exactly. And they should have left it as 560D, a 555, or just left it at 460.
I think 555
would probably make the most sense. And so I think, but it's just, I do think it's not, we can't just be mad at AMD.
Oh, I know.
I think it's everybody along the chain being completely stupid.
Here's where I stand on it. Add-in board partners get blamed for the poor labeling of literally just putting the core count in the specs.
Yeah.
AMD gets blamed for allowing them to do that.
And retailers get blamed for not charging a lower price for them.
I mean,
they're the same price.
It depends on what the add-in board partners were selling into.
And that's true. That's true. So you can't directly blame retailers, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. I mean, retailers that are in the space specifically, like Newegg, I think they're ones that know that it's something.
To the retailer,
and that's true. They could have asked, but
this has been going on. Keep in mind, so before AMD made this whole spec change to the 560 on their site, and everyone noticed this. This has been going on for months. It's just nobody noticed.
Yep.
Meaning that, unless you're like a super tech enthusiast and knew what the core count was supposed to be, even if you looked at the core count on the spec page before you bought one, you might have bought a 560 and it was a lower core count, or it was a lower performance than the one you watched a video on for reviews.
Yep.
And that's a big problem. And since this has been going on for months,
people are going to think something's wrong with their card when that happens. Yeah.
Since this has been going on for months, that's why I'm putting so much of the blame on AMD, especially because there's no way that they can try and come out and say they'd never check their add-in board partners listings for products.
Yeah.
You'd think like once a month, just check a couple cards. Cool.
Make sure they're good.
Next product lineup to check cards. If they don't do that, then they are just really bad at running their graphics cards business.
Which maybe they kind of are.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me, and AMD gave Nvidia a whole bunch of crap about the 3.5 gigs of RAM and a 970. Which if that was still relevant, I'd make a video about that because it was 4 gigabytes usable, guys. But anyway, AMD gave them crap about that, and they're doing this kind of stuff.
AMD was like 4 gigs
now,
is 4 gigs.
Again, though, a lot of people also remember that there is a 1060. There is a 3 gigabyte and a 6 gigabyte model. The only noticeable difference between the two of them is how much VRAM, right?
Mm-hmm.
They perform completely different because one has less CUDA cores, the 3 gigabyte model. Now, there is a signifier there, but it's a more subtle signifier than a different product name.
But
I would
you
have
still know that
like
you are buying something different.
You do, yeah, exactly.
It's
and
not enough of a difference as far as distinction.
Yep.
But at least you know that you are buying a lower end card.
Exactly.
To any extent.
Yes.
With the 560 situation.
It's still a little sketch though because so many cards are sold with multiple VRAM variants, right? And so, I mean, just like the RX 580, for example, there's a 4 and an 8 gig. They're the same core count. Most of them are the same core count. The 1060 is the first to do that.
The 3 gig's in an especially weird position though, where in a lot of games, especially at above 1080p res, you're looking at using more than 3 now anyway.
That's true.
Which is
I
puts
mean,
it
I
into a
remember
really weird
back
spot.
when we were
And
messing around with your 770, right? And we were looking at Titanfall.
Yeah.
And this was a while ago when your 770 was still pretty new.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was considered, you know, like, oh, 3 gigs, that's not quite enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Because Titanfall had their high-res textures required at least 3.
Yes.
To just run.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a whole thing. But it's like, I think that's why NVIDIA allowed that to happen with the core count and the naming and the RAM.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing at 1080, actual performance when you're playing isn't going to be probably that big of a difference unless you're doing super high refresh rate monitor.
Yeah, I
Which
mean,
I don't
there's
think
a pretty decent performance difference. You'd be surprised. It's pretty significant.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
But
how many people spend that little on a card and just and actually run it like 1080 120 or something like that?
no, and that's
I
true.
think
That's true. But I think the same
NVIDIA
argument could be
still
made for an RX 560.
But the difference is that you don't know at all that you're getting any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, right. I understand.
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying that.
Like the VRAM can be a performance benefit of its own, and so you're already. I'm not trying to justify what NVIDIA did. Like it's still different, but it's like essentially you know that you should expect some level of performance difference from that.
You know, it's a different product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas you know, it's a 560. It's a 560.
And the only way you'd know is by looking at the stream
Yes.
processor count and knowing what the stream processor count is.
And something I want to point out about this box. This box doesn't list the processor count. So if you were to walk into, say, a Best Buy,
it would be really hard to tell, if not impossible, depending on the box. And the employees,
And the box doesn't say.
There'd be the few that would, but generally
most
speaking,
of them are in Geek Squad.
I mean, yeah.
So,
so it's frustrating, and we should be mad at AMD for this.
This whole situation is shitty.
It needs to be fixed. In fact, I want to see if they have fixed it yet. So let's see.
I don't think they're going to fix their site.
Their site?
I don't think they're going to change their site listing. I'm saying. I know that hasn't changed yet.
Yeah, I'm checking it again just in case. So you got like 4 gigabyte here, 896 stream processor. It still says, okay, so it does say RX 560 14 compute units.
Now check if other companies.
Now let's see if anybody else is saying that. RX 560, let's see how many. The 1024, and it doesn't say 14 CU. Let's see.
Look for another MSI card and try and find an MSI specifically that has the lower count.
I will. I just want to look through a few more of these. This one doesn't say, but what do the specs say? It's a gigabyte card. This one doesn't even say the stream processor count.
That's a bad thing.
That's really bad.
Yeah, so you literally can't know what you're
in
buying.
this situation, you literally wouldn't know. Let's see. I'm not seeing... here's another MSI one. It's $5 cheaper. And it's also 1024. Let's see. What about this? This Strix one. This one here is an 896, and it's not labeled. Yeah, so a lot of them haven't been fixed. It looks like Power Color was actually, surprisingly, the first one to jump on board and potentially fixing that.
Even with that, though, I still think that, like, in the case of Power Color's listing, it should be just a different name. Not just 14 CU listed right before a whole bunch of random ass numbers.
Yeah, and while I agree there, I still think that's...
with 3 gigs of VRAM, like most people who have looked at a graphics card know that is a spec. But when you read, like, I'll read the details of the Power Color card, I'll just read the title. Power Color Red Dragon Radeon RX 560 14 CU DirectX 12 ARX 5. It's like, how many people are going to see that and know what the 14 CU is?
Yeah,
and then when you look at their
there is a signifier, is all I was pointing
when you
out,
look at their other card, it doesn't specify a CU. So if you look at their high-end card that I will double
and I think that that'd be a 16 compute unit. I think the point is,
if they had 14 and 16, I'd be a-okay with that.
I think the point is signifying, though, this one is a different card by adding the 14
but
CU
how do you know?
in
Because
it.
like, look at they've got on the.
I mean, it's an effort. I'm in agreement with you, but it's
the
an
14
effort.
CU ones, as far as what Power Color has listed, because they have 3 560s on Newegg.
Yeah.
2 of them are the 14 CUs, and those are single fan ones.
Right.
And then you have the non-14 CU label with dual fans. So 14 CU could mean a lot of random shit to a lot of people.
It could.
And so it's like, who the fuck knows? But yeah, So I mean, they have something which is technically better.
Yeah.
But
it's still not great.
AMD
It does frustrate
step
me,
in
though.
and force a name
Yeah,
change.
they need to. They definitely need to. I agree with that.
Yeah, because no matter what they try and say about it's on the add-in board partners, ultimately it's their brand.
Yep. Oh boy. Well, shall we open up something fun?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So,
you-
get into this. My new graphics card. I'm excited for this. So, I went ahead and picked up a RX 580 for my Threadripper build.
Is that what that says?
Yeah, that is what that says. Now, that may seem weird, and especially people that didn't hear the beginning of the podcast, may seem weird that I'm going with a fairly, mid-range GPU on such a high-end system. And actually, the reasoning for that is I'm waiting for GPUs next year, Volta, as well as potentially Navi, depending on when that comes out from AMD, to decide what dual, if still possible next year, dual GPU setup I can do on Project Monochrome over there. So this is actually just the GPU to get me by, because for the time being, I've been gaming on my 1070 laptop, my Sager here, because I have a 660 Ti over there. And while it functions for editing and stuff like that, it is actually slower in editing, and when I'm rendering and stuff, it's like almost 100% usage on the 660 Ti. But also, I have a FreeSync monitor, so I wanted to get a GPU that I could use the FreeSync monitor with until I replace that with an HDR
And
next
if you
year.
ever get around to getting a VR headset, it's got 2 HDMI ports because it's Asus.
That's true. I don't think I'll ever get around to getting a VR headset, though.
Lame.
It's just not my thing, you know?
I mean, you've never played a VR game for more than a demo.
I mean, like an hour. When you brought your PSVR over.
True, but you should try the Rift.
I know. I'm just, the thing is, it's just, I'm not fully sold on it myself yet. But that's because I'm also not a huge gamer. Alright, so opening this beauty up.
You're not a huge gamer, as you just bought a graphics card so you can play games on your...
Okay, I'm not a huge gamer. It doesn't mean I'm not a gamer at all. Woo! Opening this up. By the way, this is the 8GB model ROG Strix edition, so basically the highest end 580 you can buy.
Yes, but how many cores does it have?
Right. 100.
That one sucks.
Alright. Let me open it up. So it says Strix on the front, guys. It says Strix. Cool logo in a cardboard box that's not painted the best, but you know, it's cardboard. And then you open it up, and you got the presentation, the gold Asus logo here, with all the documentation and stuff that I am going to open up and see if there's a case badge, because I collect case badges, and then throw the rest away. Woo! Okay, speed setup. Woo! With graphics drivers and a manual.
Yo, you mean you got a disc?
Okay, no cares? Alright. Pull this off. Foam. Accessories. Two pieces of Velcro, everybody. I said 2. Count them. 2. Won't use those either.
Yo, Velcro's Velcro.
Alright.
Better
Oh
than zip
man, it
ties.
is so heavy. Woo! Alright. So that's it. And see, now that's a 580. That's considered a mid-range card. Now, sorry. That is a 580. It's considered a mid-range card. Now, of course, keep in mind that it is one of AMD's top-end cards. And you can't really buy a Vega 56 or 64. Even now, it's pretty challenging to purchase. And this was their top end for a little while. So just wanted to point that out to everybody. All right, so here, I want you to feel that before I take it out of the plastic. That's a
Wow.
that's a
You could
580.
weightlift with that.
You could.
And see, yeah, you really put it directly behind the...
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Yeah, my bad. Also, so this is perfect because it's such a heavy card. Now it has a massive backplate, but it's such a heavy card. But mine's going to be mounted like this. So I don't have to worry about it flexing the PCIe slots. I mean, mine are metal reinforced too. But
Yeah, but sag is so great.
sagging is life, right? Sorry about the crumpling, guys. No, I'm
Should be.
not going to peel the plastic off the backplate yet, but I better not forget to do that. I'm going to want that back.
WordCast is now announcing our new ASMR award channel.
ASMR award channel. So anyway, this thing is beautiful. This is a beast. It is heavy. And it's just funny, like, look at all those fins, man.
That's some
for a
fence.
580. This thing, I mean, I hope I won the Silicon Lottery and I'm able to push the clocks on this stupid high. That's the goal.
200 gigahertz.
I mean, if I could, man, for even a second,
He'd probably blow up the entire
planet.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing that blows me away is the heatsink goes
fans?
all the way through. So 3 fans are fully functional. They do a circulation system. But the heat sinks go all the way through here, and then you've got heat pipes in the middle too. So it's not like, you know, a lot of cards where they make it look bigger, but the heat sink only goes to midway or whatever. And the PCB goes all the way out. So the PCB actually does go to the end of the back plate here. The card plastic shroud hangs over a little bit, but they don't have like you know, the plastic extension on the PCB, so to speak. And you got your power stuff back there so that you can do the lighting effects, because this does have RGB, because RGB everything. I'm impressed, and the heft on it is amazing. I just love seeing a card that's so big, and then you look like, oh, 1 8-pin.
Yep.
It's pretty great. Would you mind handing me my anti-static bag back so I can put this away?
Yeah, I was just moving it out of the way.
But yeah, this thing is beautiful. I mean, yeah, I want to try and get a little bit more of a close-up, drop it on the mic, break the mic, and the graphics card. Now, I just want people to see what that looks like.
That would be an exciting stream.
I mean, look, that would be like a standard WordCast stream.
I mean, I feel like you don't break multiple $100 parts.
That's true. I don't break multiple $100. I don't break PC parts much. I do break phones by dropping them on tile with no case.
I dropped my phone twice.
Rip headphone users. Yeah, see, I've dropped my I dropped my S8 onto cement multiple times, and it's Gorilla Glass 5, right? So it was fine, nothing at all. Yeah, tile's a whole nother story.
I'm getting a case for my Pixel at some point in the future.
You should. Yeah,
already
but
got it
good.
D-brand grip.
The D-brand grip. I like the D-brand grip. But yeah,
Speaking of wraps, we'll talk
Speaking
about
of
that
wraps.
later.
Oh yeah, that's right. We should talk about wraps later. All right. I'm really excited to get this installed. I might stay up way too late tonight to get this installed. We'll see. And just be tired tomorrow.
I get to go into work 2 hours late tomorrow.
Yeah, I hate you.
I also don't get home 2 hours late.
I still hate you.
Yeah.
I'd rather work later, but I love my Dell. Alright, so that is the graphics card unboxing for you guys. Ooh, that was beautiful and exciting. Wow. Okay, so moving on to the next subject, which is another AMD subject here. So a 35-inch FreeSync monitor. Now, this is one of the only high-end FreeSync monitors out there, and it's probably better than the majority of the other stuff. So it's the Asus XG35VQ. It's a FreeSync monitor running at 100 Hertz. It is a VA panel, not a TN panel, not an IPS panel. So we're looking at not quite as good viewing angles, but about similar color accuracy as IPS, if you're speaking average panel technology, that is. It is a 3440 by 1440 ultra wide. And it's beautiful. So it's got an 1800R curvature, which makes me happy because I actually do like to see a curve on an ultra-wide monitor. 4 millisecond response time and 300 nits max brightness. So it's not HDR, which is expected. Now, I don't think they've released any like actual pricing info yet, but probably my guess would be around $1,000. Although the one thing that's interesting to me is if you go to Newegg and you look for FreeSync monitors, of this caliber, you can actually find another one by Asus. Let me see if it's a Designo series. Let me see if I can actually find it really quick for you guys, because I noticed it must be using the same panel. In fact, I might have it linked in our doc about it, actually. Let me see here. In comparison to this panel here. No, that's the Acer. There is an Acer that compares to it, but it only runs at 75 Hertz. Or, no, let's see. No, the Acer is very similar. No, but there's a, so there is an Acer that's comparable, but it's 75 Hertz IPS instead. And then there's the Asus Designo MX34VQ, which appears to be using the same panel, but they're like professional series monitors. And the price of it is the fun part to look at. So it's still 100 Hertz refresh rate and all the fun stuff there. It's $800. So you can expect to pay a small premium, I would guess, for, the ROG version of that panel, basically. And the reasoning for that is just branding, as well as a better stand, as well as it's using the FreeSync branding instead of the Adaptive Sync branding. They're literally the same thing, just Adaptive Sync is the actual industry standard term for FreeSync, whereas AMD calls it FreeSync. That's what they call it on their GPU side, basically. Adaptive Sync is the VESA standard, which FreeSync is fully compatible with. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see that. I'm still waiting for something high-end, ultra-wide HDR, high refresh rate before I upgrade my panel. So again, that's why I'm going to be happy sticking with this guy here. But still, very, very cool to see. And then we got some VESA stuff. So this one was interesting. This one was cool. So HDR has been a mess, right? It's been a
you could say that
bad mess. Now VESA wants to try and standardize that, like they try and standardize all kinds of stuff. So they have a few categories here that VESA has classified as display HDR standards. There are 3 of them. There's display HDR 1.0, 2.0, or no, sorry, what am I saying? There's the 1.0 is the version, but there is 3 specs of it: display HDR 400, 600, and 1000. I'll get into the details of those in just a second. Now, display HDR 1.0, the first version of it, is focused on LCD panels, meaning no OLED like support for this. It's not an identifier for OLED.
Which, since these are monitors, that makes sense anyway. How many OLED monitors are there? Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay, so yeah, but it makes sense. They want to focus on OLED as well later, just to define a spec for that.
Yeah.
Because VESA isn't necessarily just for monitors; it is used on TVs, right?
Yeah, but this spec is designed mainly for monitors.
Yes. But the spec itself could just be a panel thing in the future, and I think that's probably their goal with it. Okay, so the 3 specs, there's display HDR 400, and that is that's the low-end baseline. Like, this is HDR, this is the minimum you get if you have you're going to get this or more if you have a display HDR certified display. So you're looking at 400 nits peak luminance, which is VESA claims is about 2 times what you would see as a peak luminance on like a standard laptop and stuff. And so the idea is that's enough to give you the more high dynamic range type display, as well as a true 8-bit requirement. No dithering on a 6-bit panel used to create fake 8-bit. So it would have to be required to be 8-bit, and that's super cool. And it is required to support HDR10 and global dimming. So that's all important, and I think that seeing monitors that are fairly cheap that are HDR, that's what they're going to be using as a spec, and that's super cool. Then there's display HDR 600, all the same stuff, just 600 nits peak brightness. And display HDR 1000. Oh, I wonder what display HDR 1000 is, Daniel. 1000 nits peak brightness.
Whoa!
Yeah, would you have guessed that?
No.
I don't think you would have.
Nope.
I would have bet money that you couldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. You would have lost money.
I would have lost a lot
like
of money.
I do when I invest in crypto.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I made a little. So, anyway, it's cool to see a standard, in my opinion. I'm very happy about this. HDR has been garbage for the... and I think that's part of what's holding the industry back, to be honest, is just how do you market it to consumers at this point? This should help standardize that some.
Yeah, a little bit. Resolution's always been easier to market just because... Number. Okay, thanks, bye.
Yes, that's true. HDR is something you have to see to understand just how good it is.
Yep.
It's hard to know. And in fact, as an example, like my display on my laptop here is a particularly bright display. And even just playing games on this that support HDR like Destiny, they look really good, and it does make a difference. And this would not meet the minimum requirement of display HDR 400, I don't even think. So it's impressive in my opinion.
Now, one thing I do want to say, so HDR 400 is essentially, like, if you were looking at current TVs now, like, if you look at the TCL $400 55-inch or whatever it is, HDR TV, that's essentially, that would be display HDR 400.
Yeah.
It's essentially just, like, all of the TVs, or all of the displays that are just, like, decent quality displays that say they support HDR.
Right.
And can accept that type of input.
Yep.
It's really just like a display. HDR 400 kind of the weird one in my opinion, because realistically, yes, there are some like super shitty TVs you buy that aren't true 8-bit, but most of them are 8-bit.
Most TVs are, yeah. But there's most displays are when it comes to the 8-bit itself, but when it comes to supporting HDR10 and global dimming. Those are things that matter.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying, like, if you buy just, like, at this point, a shitty HDR TV, it's that.
Yeah.
So, it'll be an easier way to market that to consumers, but it's just a shitty TV.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's shitty just because it's 400 nits.
If you're in the... No, I'm not saying just because it's 400 nits, though. Like, in my opinion, right now, if you're in the market for an HDR TV, like, if you're buying a new TV and you want to go HDR, looking at the ones that are just a normal TV, but also accept the HDR spec, which is something like that TCL or like a lot of the other cheap HDR TVs.
Yeah.
This really isn't going to help with that because, yes, it can accept that HDR input, but it's not going to take advantage of that in any way other than a little bit higher brightness than most TVs.
I mean, 400 nits is pretty decently bright, though.
But that's the only difference you're getting is brightness. The big advantage to me for HDR isn't contrast, it isn't brightness, it's color. That's the thing. When we saw these brand new HDR TVs being shown off and the hype first started, it was because all these extra colors.
I think, though, the color's just related to 10-bit, and that's been done before.
Yeah.
HDR primarily is about higher contrast ratios.
But we've had higher
that's what dynamic range
high
is.
Contrast ratio content in TVs before.
We have, but it's
HDR
also heavily about the brightness.
HDR technically is all about contrast and brightness. But as far as the way that it's been marketed to consumers, I think that the 10-bit aspect has been more important to why people are more interested in it.
I don't know if I would agree with that, though. I feel like the brightness is why a lot of people
that's looked at that and said, yo, that contrast, I want that.
Well, but you look at the technical people that
but the technical
follow
people
displays
aren't
and specific. They're not consumers, but the thing that impresses them
is
the brightness.
They are consumers.
But
they're not the normal people that buy a lot of TVs.
Yeah,
I'm trying to talk about it. From
I get what you're getting at, and I guess I think though the brightness might make a bigger visual impact than the more colors in a lot of ways, because the allowing more areas of the screen to have more contrast when it comes to brightness. Not just color-related contrast. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And that's part of what gives it something super special, where you look at a bright object, and it looks like a bright object, which currently you look at a bright object in a game or something like that, and it doesn't look like a bright object, and in real life it would be, and that's what helps make it more realistic, is being able to see... Yeah.
It would also
something brighter, but then again, 400 nits isn't that insanely bright either. The 1,000 nits is where we really.
It would also be a lot better, I think, if I know that like local dimming, I think should be what they should be focusing on.
Maybe so, yeah.
Because that would make it even better. Because you can dim the whole TV. That's not going to help with contrast as much as local dimming, where you can have like. A lot
and more areas of local dimming. Which that's also important. And that's the thing about display tech that's frustrating is marketing it to consumers and marketing it to nerds.
Yeah.
Is they're more drastically different than I think most areas of tech.
Yeah.
Because there are so many aspects that go into how a display actually looks that consumers would never generally understand.
Yes.
Such as how many areas of the backlight can be controlled individually, how many LEDs are being used for the backlight.
Yes.
Is it a quantum dot display, which is using LEDs still in that case, and does provide slightly better colors? Is it 10-bit? Is it 8-bit? Is it 10-bit but using 8-bit with dithering?
Yes.
There's so much that goes into it. The brightness, as well as the peak brightness, sometimes can be misleading because it's the peak brightness of a specific area of the display, not the peak brightness of the whole display. And peak can mean multiple things. It can mean this display can sit at 1,000 nits and run for years and years without a problem, or this display can run at 1,000 nits for a moment, but it starts to dim after that because it's not able to sustain that. And there are companies even looking into 2,000 nit displays, which are ridiculously bright, but the point of that is you're in like a completely naturally well-lit room with the sun shining in on the TV, you can still see it just fine. You're around the kitchen at a football game or whatever, boom, good to go. Display tech, though, is so complicated that it's just hard
If you're buying a TV and you want a thorough review, go to Artings.
Yeah.
They're probably the best place for
RTING.
Yes. And monitor reviews now.
Yes, that's right. RTINGS, sorry. But yeah, Artings is great if you want proper display reviews.
They're my go-to for anything pertaining to displays now.
Yep.
Because like they break it down based off of the type of content you're going to be consuming, what's going to be best. They break down everything you would want to know.
They're really good at it.
If you care about a certain thing, but you don't give a crap about most, so like let's say you're a gamer and you want to make sure the input lag is good. Well, the game review portion of the review actually specifies that, but then also you can see the listing for it, like all that stuff.
Yep.
So,
it's cool. It's very cool. I like Vesa at least stepping in to help out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because HDR has been so messy. This, in theory, will clean it up a little
rather
bit.
than all these companies trying to
Coin their own HDR term. You know, oh, well, our TV's HDR. Well, what do you consider HDR? 300 nits, 8-bit with dithering?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, that's our HDR. It's been...
My HDR is 2-bit, 1-nit brightness.
I mean, could you see that?
Yeah, I can.
You can?
Yeah.
Do you use, like...
Also, only 1 pixel. Anything more than that,
you wear
it's
glasses
not
that
HDR.
are, like, yay thick. They
If
magnify
it's a
it.
2-pixel TV, it's not HDR.
1 pixel TV.
That's
the
Word
best.
HDR.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. We should have a page on the site classifying what our version of HDR is. I like it.
We should do that for every standard until there's
Every
a real
standard, just a garbage version of
Yes.
the standard. Like, this is our standard of this technology. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. All right, so T-Mobile did something interesting, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. This is weird. Well,
Very
not really weird with the way the entire industry is going, but
surprising, maybe a little. Yeah.
kind of. So essentially what happened is T-Mobile bought Layer 3 TV.
Yep.
Now, what is Layer 3 TV?
Well, it's when you put 3 TVs on top of each other,
Mm-hmm.
and then you buy the bottom one. T-Mobile bought the bottom one. They bought the Layer 3, the third layer of TVs.
But Layer 3 depends on which way you count.
So which one did they buy?
Because if you're putting them on top, then the third is the top one.
That's true. That's the
But
third
if they're already
layer.
stacked, then you would count from top to bottom.
Well, what if you're using Photoshop and you say move to bottom?
No, you don't do that.
Move to back of the layers. Oh, okay.
So Layer 3 TV is actual like full-on cable company. I thought they were a little bit different, but they're
They're a full-on cable company. Wow.
So they actually they currently run their own wire. Now that's not the plan for when T-Mobile rolls them out nationwide, because they're nowhere near nationwide right now. But the idea is that they use bandwidth separate from your internet provider, and they're just pretty much laying internet cable. Like, you don't use coax, you just use, it's an IPTV service.
Okay.
It's just running over their own cable, so you have they have control over the bandwidth. You don't have to worry about Comcast congesting, ruining your stream or whatever. It's supposed to just work.
Okay.
So with T-Mobile taking over, presumably the idea would be that they would be shifting to cellular data. That's my theory.
Okay.
But the idea is that T-Mobile's launching next year a TV service, essentially. Just T-Mobile TV, I'm assuming, is going to be getting a massive shift, because T-Mobile had T-Mobile TV. It's always been crap. So
yeah.
I would assume that they would change either. They might make a new brand name. I'm not sure, but
We'll have to see.
yeah. But essentially, they're combining a lot of traditional cable aspects with modern streaming service. So you'll be able to have things like profiles. So like if I want to DVR some shows and you want to,
Right.
well, I can have my own separate profile with my own favorite channels and my own DVR content and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can hop on your shared part of the account and have all of your stuff. Something that you don't see from Comcast, but you do see from Netflix, for example.
Right.
So they're taking some of that.
Yeah. So you could pay to not have.
Now I'm getting replies. Reconnection successful. I don't know how long we were out for.
Probably like 30 seconds, because we like went out just as you started like.
Wait, but we're dropping frames now. Like half of our frames. Oh wait, they're getting better. We're not dropping frames anymore. Okay, all right, we are back, guys. We apologize. That was a little bit weird. Our internet actually went out. It's our internet. We apologize for that. Thank you, Comcast. We appreciate it. It's excellent. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
At this point, I want faster speeds, but at least stop going down every day.
Yeah.
Please, at least don't go down every day.
But you're on business class. You should expect
That's
it to
right.
go down
I
every
should
day.
expect it to go down every day because I pay extra to make sure it's more Make sure it's more reliable. Dedicated line. What? No, they give you a different modem and charge you more money.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're supposed to have better service. That is a thing. And it's not really. So anyway, sorry about that, guys, but we're back. All right, so we don't know what you missed. So let's
just
start
jam through the layer 3 stuff real
layer
quick
3.
again.
Layer 3.
So T-Mobile's buying a TV provider. They essentially run internet to your house, but just for their TV service. It's an internet-based TV service. They just don't want to deal with bandwidth problems.
Yeah.
Presumably, the idea would be that T-Mobile will be running whatever they decide to call this new TV service over their cellular network. I think this is going to go very well with their plans for both 5G and for they had talked in the past about rolling out home internet based off of 5G tech.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that this would pair very well with that. Layer 3 has a lot of tech behind them too. It's not just that they're buying a company. So there's things like the higher resolution because of their compression and blah, blah, blah. They're also using, I mentioned this in the part that got cut out, but they're using features from modern streaming services, tying them into cable, so things like profiles like you see on Netflix.
Which is great.
Don't see on Comcast, so that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so T-Mobile's getting into the cable game. They have talked about the fact that they want to disrupt... Oh, the card's still there.
The card is still there, yeah.
They talked about wanting to disrupt the cable industry, so they might pull some Un-carrier stuff there. We'll see.
I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. T-Mobile, do more stuff, man. Please.
Yeah.
All right. So, sick wraps.
Slick wraps.
Sick wraps.
No.
Because it makes me sick. So, Slick Wraps, they're this company. They make very
Skins for
quickly slick chicken. Oh, they're not like... I was thinking like sandwich wraps.
Okay.
Stop talking.
Goodbye.
My bad. Hey, I didn't say you could go in that room.
Okay, then. So
what does Slick Wraps do then?
they make skins. They're like D-Brand, except bad.
Oh, my bad. I thought you meant like skins.
No.
Sorry.
So Slick Wraps makes skins for mobile devices, laptops, whatever. Well, the big news that came out the past couple days is, they got banned from Reddit.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
For good reason.
How often do companies get banned from Reddit? This one did. The reason being that they were, for one, using either multiple accounts or bots to do vote manipulation. They were downvoting negative comments about their brand, about orders, things like that.
Yeah.
They also were banning people from their subreddit for posting negative things.
For all kinds of fun stuff, basically.
Slick Wraps also approached the team at r/Google Pixel about doing a giveaway, which the Google Pixel team handled the giveaway, and Slick Wraps never sent out the products.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah. And that led to Slick Wraps getting banned, like I mentioned, and now the r/Google Pixel team is actually in control of the Slick Wraps subreddit.
Yeah.
So, if you want to buy a skin, anyone but Slick Wraps, I recommend
D-Brand.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
because they're a dope company.
Yeah, D-Brand has 10 out of 10 customer service.
I mean,
Slick Wraps has...
I accidentally looked up Dr. Band, but I was trying to go to D-Brand's website.
But yeah,
Anyway.
so now that the Google Pixel mod team has control of the Slick Wraps subreddit, they actually reinstated a whole bunch of posts that were blocked by or banned by Slick Wraps.
Good. I didn't
Thoughts
know
on
they
Slick
did that.
Wraps? Anybody placed an order, haven't received mine, a deleted comment, another deleted comment. Well, thought about feedback, order issues, quality issues, order issues, customer service slow, a ton more order issues, wrong wrap and no reply from Slick Wraps, poor communication, whole bunch of stuff.
Guys, when did that happen?
This was...
Today?
1 day ago.
Because today they have a 1 hour 30% off everything sale.
Yeah.
We feel bad. Oh man, and it's frustrating, because like they manufacture their stuff in the U.S. and they're actually one of the few manufacturers that makes their stuff in the U.S. and then your customer service does this. And
Well,
it's
yeah.
like, it's
the
like,
only
how
reason
do
they
you...
can afford to do it in the U.S. is because they both
because
have
they
no
don't have customer service. Yeah,
and
yeah.
because they lie and cheat and steal from customers.
It's frustrating. They basically, yeah, they do quite a few phones actually.
Yeah.
I want to look at some of theirs. I'm not gonna put them on stream because I don't want to advertise them.
But
honestly, though, they're also like their designs, like they have more designs when it comes to like images and stuff. But their designs that are designed to look like wood and stuff don't look as realistic.
But like, so when it comes to slick wraps, like one thing is like, come on, guys, like if someone orders a product, ship it.
Yeah,
That's all I can ask. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like that part can't be that hard, right? You guys
Why?
sell
It
stuff.
seems almost like somebody saw D-Brand being successful and was like, I bet I can do that too.
I think slick wraps has been around for a long time.
Have they?
Mm-hmm.
I just heard about them like 6 months ago.
I feel like I remember them from a long time ago.
Well, let's look up on Wikipedia.
They've been a member of Twitter since 2010.
Okay, so they have been around a while then, it looks like. Oh boy.
Yeah, don't do that, guys.
Don't do that. I mean, and if you're gonna do that, don't do that. But if you're gonna... Don't do that on Reddit. Of all places, the one place on the internet that really revolts against everything. You got all these people on Facebook and stuff, and no offense to anybody here that maybe uses Facebook a lot, and I do use Facebook too, but
You
got
don't go to
you've got
Facebook to rage.
right, but you got your generic like Facebook user that doesn't care about what a company does, doesn't care. They want their funny videos, Reddit really cares about this kind of stuff because Reddit is filled with nerds that and smart people, let's just say, right? And you don't mess around with that. They're the one. Reddit's probably been fighting net neutrality harder than anybody else in America.
Mm-hmm.
In America, right? Fighting for it. That is. And it's just like, how dumb can you be?
Yeah.
It's sad. It's a little bit sad. Oh man.
Yeah. We'll see if they decide to comment on this situation. I think that would be quite interesting.
That would be a very cool comment to see, I think. Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Oh, apparently they also would do things like yell or like use fake account, or not fake, but like use alternate accounts to say things like D-brand scams, fuck them. Like literally screenshots from the mod team that now has control. Which, by the way, I want to explain, just so that people understand how the Google Pixel mod team has control of the subreddit.
Yeah,
you can't just make yourself a mod. What happens is, for one, this mod team probably reported some of the situation to Reddit and was in talks with the admins.
Right.
And if the Slick Wraps subreddit didn't have anyone that wasn't connected to Slick Wraps as a company as moderation, they would need new ones, and so the Google Pixel team, being mods that haven't been banned, can request.
Right.
And this isn't actually all that like new of a thing. Subreddits can either die, or the moderators can leave, or they can just be banned, and other people can volunteer to moderate it.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately what happened. Was, for whatever reason, or not, I shouldn't say for whatever reason, but like essentially they got banned. Google Pixel team was like, "Yo, we'll step in."
It's cool. Yeah.
Especially after the giveaway thing, I guarantee they were reporting people.
They were frustrated
Slick Wraps
about
to
this.
Reddit.
Yeah.
And then that's probably when Reddit looked into the account and saw then that there was vote manipulation and things like that. And vote manipulation is, if they detect you with that, you're
done. Yeah.
You're off Reddit forever.
Yeah, that's not cool. Oh boy. So, shall we get into some FTC, FCC, and net neutrality stuff?
Tomorrow's the big day.
Tomorrow's the day. I'm gonna be sad. Okay, so I might make a video tomorrow after it all goes down. Tomorrow night is when it would be. I will definitely make a video if we get to keep net neutrality. I will definitely make a video of that. And some guy's gonna have to change his name to LitFam if that happens. So
yes.
There's that. But it's not gonna happen. Now, this was interesting. So the FCC is claiming the FTC, sorry, is claiming that they're going to try and take action against misbehaving ISPs. Their direct quote, I will say here, and this is interesting. Now, the questions here are whether they'll actually do it, what they mean by the statement, and whether they'll actually have the power to do what they want to do, right? But here's the statement from them. Consistent with its jurisdiction, that's important, the FTC will investigate and take enforcement action as appropriate against internet service providers for unfair, deceptive, or otherwise unlawful acts or practices, including but not limited to actions pertaining to the accuracy of the disclosures such providers make pursuant to the Internet Freedom Order's requirements, as well as other marketing, advertising, and promotional activities. Now, there's a little bit more here. Let's see. Or no, yeah, that's the quote from them. Now you can read the full agreement, which is in a PDF form. It's actually like an agreement that a draft agreement that they're making.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and link it in chat for those that might want to see it.
Ultimately, what it comes down to is, and this isn't anything that we are surprised about, the FTC will be ensuring that there is no false advertising. As long as there is no false advertising, as long as there is no lying about what they're doing, like if they were to secretly be throttling Netflix, that'd be bad.
That's a problem. But if they say,
tell you,
we're going to throttle Netflix.
Yeah, if they tell you, oh, you don't have any other options, well, we're throttling Netflix in this area, bummer, pay us money.
You see, and the theory behind that is, oh, well, people will be pissed when they see one ISP that is blocking something and switch to another. And this is where the misunderstanding still comes into play.
It's not a misunderstanding.
Where people don't.
It's just a lie of an argument.
Well, I mean, I know. I don't mean the FCC in specific. Okay. I mean, like, people in general that are on the other side. And those are the people that we're maybe addressing this to.
There's like
because, you know, there's quite a few people. You'd be surprised.
1 in 5 Republicans, less than that in Dems.
But
I know.
Point is, there's and so anybody that's watching this, you know, maybe to give them a little bit more insight in this direction. So one of the things that, okay. There are not options in most places.
Yeah.
There is a large portion, and I believe the estimate is actually 65% of America only has 2 options, and something like 30% only has 1 option, or something along those lines.
That number is even a little misleading because they're looking at, oh, there are people that live there, the internet reaches there.
Exactly.
If there's 2 ISPs that reach there, it's 2. However, for example, some apartments might have internet reach them, but not actually be something you can sign up for there.
Yep. And
I lived in an apartment building or in a different city, but not that far away, where the only option was Comcast, even though a house right next to me could get Frontier.
Yeah. Yep.
The building that I work at, was Comcast only for a while. You can now get CenturyLink.
Yeah, CenturyLink's been pushing.
Even though they've had the wiring for it forever.
Wait, but I thought internet neutrality companies couldn't innovate, especially the little guys.
Yeah.
They couldn't expand.
No?
No,
you can't.
But why have speeds multiplied by a factor of 10 from CenturyLink in my area?
That's a lie. Fake news.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so the other misunderstanding is a lot of the areas that do have 2 ISP options, there's still a misunderstanding from people where if you have 2 ISPs in one area, but one is DSL 4 megabits, and the other one is 60 megabits, you don't have a choice if you want to do anything other than email and read articles.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to watch videos, you want to play games, you want to have multiple tabs open, you want to go to sites that have autoplay video ads and stuff like that, nope, sorry, you're not going to be able to. It's basically impossible at those speeds. Unless you're looking at like 360p video, complete garbage. Again, point is, the speeds are so slow a lot of areas. It doesn't matter if it's $10 a month versus $100 a month for, you know, something that's only, you know, a little bit more speed wise. Like say you're looking at 20 megabit versus 3 megabit, right? It's like people are going to spend the extra money to go with the faster stuff no matter what. So it really eliminates the other option in that area, so to speak. Now I actually wanted to talk about what's up. You find something interesting?
Frontier upped their speeds in this area. Hello.
I don't think they actually go to my house, unfortunately. See if you can find out. So there's actually something that I wanted to talk about, though, when it comes to net neutrality, something that people don't understand. So there are genuinely aspects to there are genuinely aspects to classifying a ISP under the Communications Act of 1934 as Title II. There are genuine sections that could cause damage to the consumer, so to speak, and there are ones that are specifically taken out actually for those reasons. Now, there is also a process in the Communications Act of 1934 called forbearance. And the way that this process is, so what that is, actually, I'll define what that is first. So what forbearance is, or forbearing something, is they actually can pick certain sections and remove them they can stop applying specific sections to internet service providers. But the key here is the legal process in which forbearance happens gives the ISPs the power. So ISPs can actually petition the FCC to forbear a specific section. And they can present evidence themselves that they'd like in that petition saying, hey, this is hurting consumers. It's not in the consumer's best interest to keep this being applied to ISPs, Section 206 or whatever it may be. The FCC, within 1 year, and they can also do a 30-day extension if they are still gathering evidence or something like that, but within 1 year has to prove that the ISP is wrong, meaning they have to prove that that section being removed would be bad for consumers. So any section that is potentially bad for consumers that the ISPs want to remove, they ask for it, and if the FCC can't say, no, removing that would hurt consumers, then it's granted. They remove that section. They forbear that section from the Communications Act. So the issue here is it really gives the ISPs to the power where they can actually remove anything as they keep claiming is going to hurt their infrastructure, hurt innovation, and hurt the consumer. Oh, well, if it hurts the consumer, you ask the FCC, hey, remove this section, forbear this section. Here's why. And the FCC has to go, oh, well, if they can't go, oh, well, you're wrong, we have evidence against, that making that bad for consumers. They go, here you go. And so the ISPs can literally get the aspects of net neutrality that they want removed that they want, as in the stuff they tell the public they want removed, because they say we want these things removed to provide you a better experience. It's all in consumer interest. If that's the case, you would remove those sections. You wouldn't remove all of net neutrality. The only reason they want to remove all of net neutrality is because they want to be able to screw people over. And it's frustrating. And it's basically the ISP saying, don't worry, you can get rid of net neutrality because we're not going to do any of the things that you think we're going to do without it. And it's like, excuse me, you have been while net neutrality is in place. Yeah. You expect us to believe that. It's like, don't worry, you can remove net neutrality, we won't do those things, so you don't need it. Even though if it was, basically they're contradicting themselves, where it's like, don't worry, we'll follow net neutrality, so we don't need it applied. So if it was applied, we don't need that because we're just going to do it anyway. So get rid of it because we won't do those things. So get rid of it.
Yeah, and also, I especially like when people try and say, well, we didn't have it until Obama, so why do we need it? Because they never did anything. For one, they did do stuff. AT&T blocked FaceTime.
Yes.
Verizon
AT&T attempted to block Vonage. The FCC was actually on the side of Vonage in that situation.
Verizon throttled Netflix. There was a couple times where specific streams that involved political stuff was blocked, which I didn't even know about until the ACLU tweeted about those.
It's pretty bad.
And then there's also the fact that net neutrality was in effect before Obama. It was just under Title I. And then Verizon sued to get that pulled out. And so then they went to Title II.
Yep.
Because they were forced to, because the FCC had no other option.
Also, there was proof that Comcast was blocking BitTorrent.
Oh, yeah. We knew that part.
And we knew that part. Yeah. But I just wanted to bring that to people's attention. And
there's no doubt in my mind that the first anti-net neutrality thing that we see is that again.
Yeah.
Because, again, something to keep in mind, this is going to be a slow start. So if you know someone that's like anti-net
AT&T also, they forced Apple to block Skype.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Because they didn't like the competition. I'm looking through a list right here of things that have been done. that one was kind of debunked. The Metro PCS blocking everything but YouTube.
Yeah.
But let's see. Looking through, seeing if there's anything else. Yeah, AT&T blocked FaceTime. That was more recent, but AT&T forced Apple to block Skype. That was back in 2007 through 2009.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Verizon was blocking people from using tethering apps on their phone that enable consumers to avoid the $20 tethering fee.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And then Netflix started paying Verizon and Comcast to improve streaming service for customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one
so
of the fun
here,
ones.
so
That was directly from Time, by the way. That particular one there. So
AT&T censored a live Pearl Jam stream over Eddie Vedder's
criticism of Bush. That's right. That was another
Verizon
one.
blocked text messages from reproductive rights group NARAL, calling them controversial. In Canada, TELUS blocked the website of a union which it was in a labor dispute with. So, like, that's the thing is, like, the regular, like, streaming services and stuff that, like, average people catch and, like, are concerned about is nothing compared to the political consequences.
Yeah, exactly. That's damaging.
Because you might think, oh, we can just flip this. But what happens if in 2020, let's say, you know, I'll use Doug Jones as the example because people are making Doug Jones 2020 jokes because he won in Alabama.
Oh.
So I'll use, like, what if he's running for president and Verizon's like, oh, he doesn't like net neutrality, or he wants net neutrality again? Throttle his website.
Yeah, block his website. Block, jeez.
Yeah, there's so many things that could happen with this that people...
sites that are in support of him. Block their IPs. Slow down their IPs.
Yeah. This is essentially...
And I think slowdowns, when it comes to political stuff, are actually more damaging, potentially, than complete blocks.
Yeah.
Complete blocks could actually go in that person's favor. But you slow down their site to where people are trying to load it, and they're just like, whatever, I give up.
Yeah.
That's the point where it's like, they don't see the message because they just go, I'm not going to wait for this. Because I've done that with websites that are slow. You know, you wait more than 8 seconds, you're like, I'm down, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not good.
It's bad. It's really bad.
The only good news pertaining to net neutrality that we've gotten in the past few hours is Washington, and I mentioned this to you, the state of Washington, their governor has come out saying that they will be protecting net neutrality. And now the reason this is so important beyond the fact that obviously just them protecting net neutrality is there's a lot of suggestion that along with the move to dismantle net neutrality, it will be greater than that. It will not be saying that the federal government will not regulate net neutrality. Essentially, the idea is this move is very likely going to be the federal government saying that no net neutrality is the law of the land.
Yeah.
Because there is a big difference between we're just not going to have a law about this and not having this is the law. Because by saying not having this is the law, that means that states can't implement their own laws.
Right.
They are not allowing states' rights on this issue. They are saying, no, we say no, deal with it.
Yeah.
So the governor of Washington put out a tweet saying, Washington State will act under our own authority, our own laws, and our own jurisdiction to protect net neutrality for all Washington citizens. He then goes on to do a couple more tweets and then posts a long Medium post just full discussing the exact specifics of their plans to do it. Everything from incentivizing ISPs who are pro net neutrality to doing things like let me pull up this list again. It's let's see, limit applicability of UTC pole attachment rules to ISPs that are net neutral. Limiting state conferred benefits to ISPs that have made some certifications. Direct the state's Utilities and Transportations Commission to establish a process for ISPs to certify that they will not engage. So essentially, you have to go through a process to get certified that you will not do this.
Yeah.
And only then can you get certain state benefits that they would offer to their ISPs. On top of that, though, as a large purchaser of internet services, they will leverage that and they will use the state government's role as a customer to only do business with net neutrality companies. Not just like, oh, you're net neutral in this city, you're good. No, it's you have to be net neutral.
Yeah.
Straight up. So this is awesome. Create a statewide internet speed test. This will allow Washingtonians to test their own broadband speed at home and submit the test to help appropriate state agencies determine whether internet speed consumers are or what they're receiving and where companies may be blocking or throttling.
You know we're close to Washington?
Yeah.
Hi, we're Oregon.
I actually tweeted at our governor.
Help us.
I tweeted at our governor with this and asking, like, are we going to follow suit? So
hopefully you get a response.
I doubt from the
check
tweet,
if you've gotten a response. Okay, I was gonna say,
but I'm gonna be like actually emailing.
Okay.
Also pursuing legislation authorizing public utility districts and rural urban port districts to provide retail ISPs and telecommunication services. Because per Washington state law, they wouldn't be able to do that, so they're gonna have to change some state laws.
Yeah.
And so they're working on municipal broadband. I actually saw a Reddit comment about this that I really liked the idea of. Oregon, Washington, California should actually work together on a regional ISP.
I like the idea. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
But like we have Sandy, which is not that far from where we live, has their own ISP that offers gigabit.
That's true. Yeah. So I mean, the same
why
thing
is a
could
rural
be...
county getting gigabit and we're not?
Yeah. Where's my gigabit? I want gigabit.
You want a bike?
Oh yeah. I've considered buying a bike. I don't know. Anyway, that's completely off canter there. Why are you revealing the things that I'm searching that are not related? Okay, don't do that. No, you don't do that on our text stream. This is extremely professional, where we
have internet issues 24/7 and talk about food.
Just because we disconnected and reconnected 20 minutes ago does not mean that we aren't the best stream on the internet. Okay.
Hang on.
I have some news that I'd like to talk about.
I have another net neutrality thing really quick.
Okay, cool. That's related then. Go ahead.
I just need to find this really quick.
Well, why didn't you find it? Just find it faster, Daniel.
Done?
Well,
no.
Good.
So what I'm going to be doing, there's an article from The Verge that allows you to look up your congressperson and see if they received, or not if they received, I should say, how much money they have received from ISPs. This is counting like things like, super PACs and stuff, because all of that data is public.
Yeah.
So they have this information. They went and sifted through from 1989 to 2017. All of that data.
Okay.
From the government. So we're looking at about 55% of money given by of the $101 million given by ISPs in that time has gone to Republicans, about 44% to Democrats, and then 0.36% to independents. And the big three, Verizon's given $11 million, AT&T has given $19.8 million, and Comcast has given $14.9 million. So AT&T is the biggest donor.
Doesn't surprise me that they are. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that Comcast is bigger than Verizon.
The biggest earner from ISPs is John McCain. And then Ed Markley. And then...
Ed Merkley.
No, Markey.
Oh.
But we do have an Oregon congressperson, the Republican, Greg Walden, is third out of all of them. I'm wanting to go campaign there when we... I'm not joking. But we'll talk about that when the election comes around. And then Steny Hoyer from Maryland.
Wow.
So...
That's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, McCain is the biggest by far. Over $1 million ahead of the next closest.
$2.5 million is what he was looking at. That's a lot of money.
2.5. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So yeah, you can look at this list though. I'll post it in the chat for both the YouTube and the Twitch one. Here's the YouTube link. And where did I put the... Oh, I closed it. Okay. I'll pop it in the Twitch stream just so you guys have that there as well.
Sweet.
But yeah, so you can look it up.
Sweet.
And if you see your senator, House of Representatives member on there, ask them what their plan is for net neutrality, and if they're even if they're for net neutrality, ask them to stop taking money from ISPs.
Yeah, because money, businesses just donating money to Canada, I don't like that. That whole thing bothers me. But that's to be saved for a potential other podcast we'll be doing someday.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about pretty much one last thing, maybe a few channel things. and then we're going to be done a little bit early. Normally there is a lot of interactivity from the crowd. There hasn't been much this time, and that's fine, guys.
Probably
I'm
'cause
assuming
we've
a
been
lot
gone
of the
for a couple
we've
weeks.
been gone long enough. I think some of the originals that would ask a lot of questions probably didn't expect the stream tonight. So totally understandable there. So we may end a little early, but guess what? So this headline's a little misleading, but Starbucks has been using your phone and laptop on their Wi-Fi to mine cryptocurrency. Now,
Specific country.
Starbucks hasn't. It was the ISP in Buenos Aires that was doing it. So Starbucks apparently has jumped on it and basically made them stop because that's not cool. But they were caught, and that's kind of unfortunate that they were doing that. There was like a 10-second delay before load when you're connecting to the website, and they would mine Bitcoin. Wasn't a big deal, but it's still something worth.
I mean, look,
mentioning.
that's kind of genius.
It is kind of genius, but not cool. Not illegal though.
Yeah.
But not cool.
I'm wondering when Comcast is going to start injecting code to start doing that.
To mine Bitcoin,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And it was actually mining Monero, not Bitcoin. Sorry.
No,
'Cause-
Comcast is going to go for the CryptoKitties.
Oh man, the CryptoKitties! Please no, please no, please no.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's.
CryptoKitties guide.
I think that's pretty much it when it comes to
Yeah.
the
Just
stream.
a lot of concerns about net neutrality.
Yeah, you guys will see some content from Mirko on Friday. You should also see a video review of my Thermaltake, the Tower 900 on Monday. I've got all the stuff filmed for that. I just got to do the edits. Hopefully I get the edits done in time. You might see a little bit of footage sometime next week of a LAN party that we're throwing this weekend here at my place, so that's going to be super fun. Excited for that. That is in 2 days. And obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description, both going to our website, as well as if you go to our website, don't forget to enter your email address under the WordCast subscribe section, where you can get reminders a couple of hours before we do the stream. I'm going to start sending out email reminders for you guys so that you know that we are indeed doing it and stuff, right? And, you know, our Patreon's down there if you're interested in doing a monthly contribution to help out the site. We appreciate all the people that are doing that. And, of course, you know, social media links if you're interested in chatting with us. And we'll have more content on the site extremely soon. Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching. And I think that's it. So this is WordCast